Intento works on wearable neuroprostheses, and the presenters are Andrea Maesani and Andrea Biasiucci.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Maesani, and together with Andrea Biasiucci, we are the founders of Intento. Intento is developing solutions to help in the rehabilitation of the upper limb, including hand, arm, and shoulder after stroke. Stroke is a gigantic problem worldwide. As you know, every year, more than 17 million people suffer a stroke, and in roughly 1/3 of them, this results in a permanent paralysis of one side of their body. Among all the possible interventions, constraint-induced movement therapy has proven to be the most effective one for mildly impaired patients. Constraint-induced movement therapy consists in blocking the healthy hand of a patient, the one that they can still use, and forcing them to exercise and use the affected arm as much as they can during the day. Unfortunately, if the patient cannot move anymore or is severely impaired in the affected limb, he cannot access this therapy, which nowadays is accessible only to less than 10% of the patients. Our goal at Intento is to extend constraint-induced movement therapy to all stroke patients. How can we do this? Well, our solution consists in a wearable garment which is worn by the patient during all day and which contains embedded in the fabric several electrodes that allow the reconstruction of complex movements on the affected limb. Furthermore, our solution consists in a movement controller which basically remaps a single control variable, as you can see, the rotation of a single knob, into a complex series of muscular activation, allowing, for example, you see here Andrea, reconstructing a complex pinch, bringing to the mouth and moving laterally of an object, activities that are useful in physical or ergotherapy. To extend constraint-induced movement therapy to all stroke patients, we are actually now modifying our movement controller and developing a version that will be arm-mounted on the healthy limb, thus having a double function of blocking the healthy limb and as well allowing the stroke patient to select and modulate movements on the other affected limb. Importantly, our solution allows to relink the intention of the patient to move with actual muscle contractions and movements, a principle that has been recently demonstrated in our lab and in other labs to promote strong functional recovery after stroke. Our marketing strategy is divided in two phases. In the first phase, we will target mainly hospitals and rehabilitation centers, selling a solution for healthcare professionals for rehabilitation of stroke patients, whereas in a second phase, we will expand to the larger chronic market, bringing our solutions to patients that are at home and allowing them to exercise still their arm by themselves. We will outsource completely the production of our devices. We will sell directly in Switzerland, whereas for the rest of European Union and the US, we will rely on distributors. Importantly, our solution will sell for less than 10,000 francs, and our main revenue stream will come from disposables that are embedded, that have to be changed after every session in the wearable garment. Finally, we developed two proof of concepts in the last 2 years. In parallel to our PhDs, we filed 2 patent applications protecting our innovations, and we raised funding to support our activities this year. We will try to perform first observations on patients with the device in the next months and perform a first clinical trial to test the feasibility of our ideas. Thanks a lot for your attention, and of course, if you want to help us bring our solution to paralyzed stroke patients, please vote for us today and come and visit us at our booth. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jury members.
I'd like to know what the endpoints for your clinical study will be.
Okay, so maybe this is, Andrea is more appropriate to answer. He's organizing the clinical trial.
Yes, so right now we are discussing with the main clinics in Switzerland to have this study designed. For the moment, it looks like the endpoints will be functional recovery in functional movements of the hand, so simple movements of the hand in a population that right now is not served by any therapy, which is the most severely affected type of patients, so completely paralyzed patients. And for them, we have good reasons to think that this will lead to a very strong recovery. Actually, this type of research was done, I mean, we have been already exploring these topics in research here at PFL, where we developed a device that was controlled with brain activity directly for severely, completely paralyzed patients. In this case, we had a placebo-controlled study with this brain control of electrostimulation, and we demonstrated that although people were in chronic phase and years after the accident, even 15 years after the accident for one of the patients, they were able to recover a quite strong function of the hand, meaning it's not a miracle, but it's simple movements of the hand, simple contraction, voluntary contraction that end up in a clinically relevant recovery. So Intento is the translation of some key principles in a very simplified version, as you have seen, to the clinical world. So we're really optimistic.
Did you speak with rehab centers, because they have existing technologies and you need to show superiority in order to convince them to replace their existing technologies?
Yes, absolutely. Right now so Intento came out as a spin project, in fact, while we were in clinics working with therapists, working with patients, working with medical doctors. We were observing how they were doing some processes in their everyday life, and they were asking for things. So we like to have something that does not just make a simple contraction of a single muscle. We would like to have something that creates a movement. So we've been developing our technology together with our end users. And right now we have a system of focus groups. So we keep in contact with these people, we iterate our ideas with them, and we collect all their feedback through questionnaires and, let's say, quantitative analysis. So we really hope to bring them what they need, not what we like.
Two questions, one very simple. What is the competition, or who is the competition? And second, do you record the patterns of the patients, and so that you could have patterns of improvements?
Concerning the competition, there are some companies selling neuroprosthetic devices for stroke patients. There are mainly two companies that are active in this field. One of them is active only for lower limb. It's a system that allows people to, after a stroke, they have a paralysis in the foot that doesn't allow them to walk correctly. And so they develop a system that when the heel is lifted, it stimulates the front muscles of the hand, of the leg, and allows them to walk. So this is a quite nice technology. It's non-invasive, and it's well accepted by patients. The second company is doing something very similar to what we do for the forearm. Unfortunately, it's a very bulky and big device that only allows to make repetitive movements of the hand. And it doesn't, we believe we can bring some difference especially in the shoulder, stimulation of the shoulder, and that is a big problem for stroke patients, for pain and this type of problems. The second question
was whether you record the patterns. Is your device recording what has been improved over time?
One of the key elements of our device is that it needs to be used for quite a long time during the day. So we want to have, the first device is embedding some usage statistics on how long they use it, for what. And the technology we have and that we are protecting allows not only stimulation, but recording. So in principle, we can record EMG activity.
Claude, one last question.
Okay, so maybe a question on, do you see a niche market that will allow the company to be sustainable? You know, you're starting with the hand, but could it be lower limb, or could it be, I don't know, home-based therapy? Do you have an early, well-segmented market where you think you could be more successful?
Yes, we believe so. So we start from this niche of extremely disabled people that, right now cannot do anything, so they're just left home, sent home and say, okay, goodbye, so you're disabled forever. So we start from them. We bring something that is valuable for them, but we are developing platform technology that in principle can affect any type of electrostimulation, non-invasive electrostimulation, so it's a pretty safe technology, and we believe we can really affect also lower limb or other type of patients.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea and Andrea.